I found my husband's burner phone on a Tuesday morning, not even hidden well, just sitting in his gym bag under a protein shake bottle. The screen lit up with a text that made my blood run cold. Final hearing in 3 days. The four in Wahalers is ours. Keep drugging her. My hands started shaking so bad I nearly dropped the phone. I read it again and again. The words didn't change. I sat down on our bedroom floor, still in my pajamas, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Drugging who? What hearing? What, $4 million? Then it hit me like a freight train. Me. They were talking about me. You know that feeling when your whole reality just shatters? When everything you thought was solid ground turns out to be quicksand? That's where I was sitting, on my bedroom floor, holding proof that my life was a lie. Let me back up so you understand why this destroyed me so completely. I'm Sarah. I'm 38 years old. Or I was when this started. I used to be a CFO at a tech company, used to have friends, a career, a life I was proud of. Rick and I had been married for 12 years. We have a daughter, Harper, who was away at college. 6 months ago, everything changed. I started forgetting things. Small stuff at first, where I put my keys, what I had for breakfast. Then bigger things, missing meetings, forgetting entire conversations. I'd find myself standing in rooms with no idea why I was there. Rick was so supportive, so loving. He took me to doctor after doctor. I was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. 38 years old and my brain was failing. The neurologist, Dr. Tony something, showed me the scans, the test results. It was all there in black and white. I had to quit my job. My friends stopped calling. Rick said I'd been erratic with them, saying bizarre things. My brother Michael stopped visiting. Rick said I'd accused him of stealing from me during one of my episodes. I didn't remember any of it, but the gaps in my memory were getting worse. Rick was my only constant. My rock. He drove me to appointments, managed my medications, held me when I cried about losing myself piece by piece, except now I was staring at a text that said he'd been drugging me. I went through his other messages with shaking hands. There were dozens, all to someone named Holly. My stomach turned as I read them. She actually thinks she has Alzheimer's, believes every word Tony says. Increase the dose. She was too clear-headed yesterday. Judge Atticus confirmed 100K gets us the incompetency ruling. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Actually threw up. My husband, the man who held my hair back when I had morning sickness with Harper, who'd promised to love me in sickness and in health, had been systematically destroying my mind. On purpose. When I could stand again, I checked our bank accounts. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely type the password. $500,000. Gone. Transferred out over the past 4 months in chunks small enough not to trigger alerts. All to accounts I didn't recognize. I found the pill bottles in his bedside drawer. Not the ones he gave me every morning with my coffee. These were different. Benzodiazepines. Heavy-duty sedatives. The kind that would absolutely make someone seem confused, forgetful, mentally unstable. He'd been grinding them up, putting them in my coffee every single morning, watching me drink it, watching me deteriorate, watching me lose everything. My phone buzzed. A text from my old friend Lisbeth, the first I'd heard from her in months. Sarah, I don't know what's going on with you, but Rick called me yesterday crying. He said you're getting worse, that you threatened to hurt yourself. I can't handle this right now. Please don't contact me anymore. The room started spinning. He wasn't just drugging me. He was isolating me, systematically cutting me off from everyone who might help me or believe me. I heard the garage door open. Rick was home. My heart started pounding so hard I thought it might explode out of my chest. I shoved the burner phone back in his gym bag exactly where I'd found it. Tried to slow my breathing, tried to think. What do I do? Call the police? And say what? My husband has been drugging me? I have no proof. The pills aren't labeled. The bank transfers could be explained. Even the texts, who's to say what they really mean? Rick's been so careful, so methodical. 6 months of building a paper trail that says I'm incompetent, mentally unstable, unreliable. Who would believe me? Rick came upstairs, all smiles. He was carrying 2 cups of coffee from our favorite cafe. Morning, beautiful, he said, kissing my forehead. Got your usual, extra vanilla, light foam, just how you like it. He handed me the cup. I took it. The ceramic was warm against my palms. Drink up, he said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. We have your appointment tomorrow, the big one. Dr. Tony says it'll help us determine what level of full-time care you need going forward. Full-time care? He meant locking me away, getting me declared incompetent, taking everything. I looked down at the coffee in my hands, steam rising, probably laced with whatever cocktail he'd been feeding me for months. If I drink it, I stay drugged, stay confused, stay his victim. Tomorrow's appointment becomes another nail in my coffin. If I don't drink it, he knows that I know. And I have no proof, no allies, no way to stop whatever's happening in 3 days at that final hearing. Rick watched me, waiting. That same supportive smile on his face, the smile of a man who thought he'd already won. So what would you do? Drink the poison and buy yourself time? Or refuse and show your hand with nothing to back it up? Because I had about 30 seconds to decide, and either choice could destroy me. I pretended to drink, lifted the cup to my lips, let the liquid touch them, then faked a cough and turned away. I spilled half of it in the bathroom sink when I went to brush my teeth. The rest I dumped in a plant when Rick went to answer his phone. My head felt clearer already. Or maybe that was just knowing I wasn't actively being poisoned for the first time in months. I spent the day acting extra confused. Wandered around the house, touching things like I'd forgotten what they were. Asked Rick the same question 3 times. Stared blankly at the TV. I watched him watch me. That satisfied look in his eyes. Like a scientist pleased with his experiment. Around 3 in the afternoon, I heard the front door open. Footsteps on the stairs. Mom? Harper? My daughter was supposed to be at Northwestern. What was she doing home? She appeared in the bedroom doorway, and the look on her face told me everything. She knew something was wrong, really wrong. Sweetheart, I said carefully. Rick was downstairs. What are you doing here? Your voice, she whispered, coming closer. On the phone last week, you sounded, I don't know, wrong. So I came home. God, I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. Not yet. I grabbed her arm and pulled her into the bathroom, turned on the shower for noise. Harper listened to me very carefully. I kept my voice low. I'm not sick. Your father has been drugging me. He's trying to get me declared incompetent to steal money. I found proof this morning. I watched her face cycle through disbelief, confusion, horror. This is my baby girl. 20 years old. She shouldn't have to hear that her father is a monster, but she believed me. Thank God, she believed me. We went through Rick's office while he was at the gym. Harper knew his passwords. He'd never changed them, arrogant enough to think we'd never look. What we found made that morning's discovery look like nothing. Files. Hundreds of files, all meticulously organized. Sarah, incompetency evidence, was the main folder. Inside were subfolder, staged episodes, erratic behavior documentation, medical records, financial mismanagement. He'd been planning this for 8 months. 8 months of systematically building a case that I was mentally unfit. There were text chains with Holly. Turns out she works for a pharmaceutical company. She'd been supplying the drugs and advice on dosages. Professional consultation on how to make someone seem demented without actually killing them. There were messages to Dr. Tony, whose real name was Tony Chen and who, according to Harper's quick Google search, wasn't a neurologist at all. He was a dentist, Rick's poker buddy, who apparently owed Rick $50,000. There were emails to Judge Atticus confirming the hearing date and arrangement. A PDF of our trust fund documents, showing that if I'm declared incompetent, everything goes to Rick as my guardian. $4 million. Our life savings, my inheritance from my parents, Harper's college fund, all of it. Mom, Harper's voice was shaking. There's a timeline here. He started researching this scheme a year ago, before you had any symptoms. A year ago, before any of this started, he'd planned it, researched, executed. While I was still perfectly healthy, still working, still trusting him completely. If you've ever had someone you love betray you, you know it's not just about what they did. It's about realizing every moment was fake. Every, I love you, every supportive gesture, every concerned look, all of it was him playing a part while he destroyed me from the inside out. We heard the garage door. Harper quickly closed everything, grabbed my arm. Play along, she whispered. Act confused. We need time to figure this out. Rick came upstairs, all sunshine and fake concern. Hey, sweetheart. He hugged Harper. What a wonderful surprise. How long are you staying? Just a quick visit, Dad. Wanted to check on Mom. He put on his exhausted caregiver face, the one I now recognized as his costume. She had another rough night. Woke up at 3 a.m., found her wandering around talking about conspiracies. It's getting worse. Harper's hand squeezed mine under the table. A silent message. I know he's lying. But Rick wasn't done. He pulled out a journal, my journal, with my handwriting. I've been documenting the episodes, he said sadly. For the doctors. Sarah, honey, do you remember writing these? He showed Harper pages filled with increasingly erratic entries. Paranoid rants about people following me. Bizarre conspiracy theories. Plans to hurt myself. I didn't write those. I couldn't have. But it was my handwriting, my notebooks. How? Dad, maybe we should... Harper started. Rick's phone rang. He stepped out, but we could hear him. Michael? Yeah, she's having a really bad day. I'm worried she might hurt herself. I think we need an intervention tomorrow. Can you come? My brother. He was calling my brother to commit me. Rick came back in, phone to his ear. We heard a woman's voice. Holly. Intervention set, he said quietly, turning away from us. Once she breaks down tomorrow, psychiatric hold is automatic. Game over. Harper and I looked at each other. Game over. That's what this was to him. A game. That night, after Rick helped me to bed with more medication that I pretended to swallow, Harper came to my room. I installed cameras, she whispered. In the kitchen, his office, the living room. If he does anything, grinding pills, staging something, we'll have proof. We stayed up watching the feeds on her laptop. At 2 a.m., Rick came downstairs, grabbed my jewelry box from the living room and scattered pieces in weird places. Inside the fridge, in the bathroom cabinet, under couch cushions, creating evidence of my confusion. At 3 a.m., he sent emails from my account to my former colleagues. Bizarre, rambling messages about government surveillance and betrayal. At 4 a.m., he called 911. Yes, I need help. My wife is threatening to hurt herself. She's mentally unstable, diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. A pause. No, she's calmed down now. Never mind. False alarm. Creating a paper trail, making sure when he needed to have me committed there would be evidence of escalation. Harper's face was white. Mom, we need to call the police. And tell them what? That their evidence shows I'm crazy? Every piece of proof he has points to me being unstable. The cameras help, but a good lawyer could say he was just managing a sick wife. The next morning, my brother Michael arrived. With 2 other people, a Dr. Tony, the fake one, and a woman introduced as Nancy, a crisis counselor. They sat me down in my own living room. Rick held my hand, so loving, so concerned. Sarah, Michael said gently, we're worried about you. The things you've been saying, doing, it's not normal. We want to help. I'm fine, I said, trying to sound fine. Trying not to sound paranoid or defensive or anything that would confirm what they all believed. Are you? Nancy leaned forward. Rick says you've been having delusions, accusing him of trying to hurt you. The trap. The beautiful, perfect trap. If I tell the truth, that he's been drugging me, that this is all a scheme, I sound paranoid, delusional. Exactly what they expect from someone with Alzheimer's. If I stay quiet, agree with them. They have me committed anyway for my own safety. Either way, Rick wins. Sarah, we need honest answers, Nancy continued, or we'll have no choice but to hospitalize you for a full psychiatric evaluation. Rick squeezed my hand. To everyone else, it looked supportive, but I felt his fingers dig in, a warning, a threat. How do you prove the truth when the truth sounds completely insane? How do you fight when every weapon you try to use just confirms their version of events? You're right, I said finally, looking down at my hands. I've been paranoid, scared. I know I'm sick. I didn't want to admit how bad it's gotten. I felt Harper stiffen beside me, but this was the only play we had. Rick's grip on my hand relaxed. I could see it in his eyes. He thought he'd won. I'm so glad you're being honest. Honey, he said softly, we just want to help you. I know. I made my voice small, defeated. I'll do whatever you think is best. I trust you. The words tasted like poison, but I watched Rick's shoulders relax. Michael nodded, relieved. Nancy made notes on her clipboard. Dr. Tony gave his fake, professional smile. They thought they'd broken me. After they left, Rick was practically glowing. He made me lunch, brought me tea, turned on my favorite show, The Performance of a Caring Husband, but I caught him texting in the kitchen. Tomorrow, she's compliant now. It's happening. That evening, Harper burst into my room. Mom, I've been making calls. There's a lawyer, Elizabeth something, who specializes in elder abuse and financial exploitation. I sent her everything we found. Harper. And I contacted a real neurologist, Dr. Hermione Carr at Northwestern. She's willing to examine you, review the fake medical records. My daughter, my brilliant, brave daughter was building us an exit. We spent the night reviewing everything. The camera footage showed Rick's systematic destruction, grinding pills into my coffee, staging my episodes, planting evidence, making those 911 calls. Harper had screenshots, recordings, file copies, everything. Elizabeth, the lawyer, called at midnight. This is criminal fraud, financial abuse, and attempted false imprisonment. But we have a problem. The hearing is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Judge Atticus is presiding. The judge Rick bribed, I said. Exactly. And police are skeptical. I spoke to them. They see a concerned husband caring for a sick wife. To them, you sound... She paused. Exactly like someone with diminishing mental capacity would sound making accusations. It was perfect. Rick's scheme was absolutely perfect. Harper kept digging. She found Rick's planning journal from a year ago. Before my diagnosis, before any symptoms. Page after page of research on making someone appear mentally incompetent. Chemical options, legal requirements, timeline projections. He'd researched this while I was still healthy. While I was still working, laughing, living my life. He'd looked at me and seen a piggy bank to crack open. There were notes about Holly. Pharmaceutical access. Can supply benzodiazepines without prescription. Notes about Tony. Owes me $50K from poker. Will cooperate. Notes about Judge Atticus. $100K should secure favorable ruling. And a note about our bank accounts. Transfer slowly. $10K per week looks like S making poor decisions. Every detail planned, every contingency covered. Mom, look at this. Harper's voice cracked. She showed me her phone. Holly's Instagram, a recent post, a sonogram. 12 weeks along, baby girl on the way. 12 weeks, 3 months. There's more, Harper said quietly. She pulled up messages between Rick and Holly. He promised to marry her once you're safely institutionalized. He told her the baby would be raised in their house. Your house. He was replacing me. Not just stealing from me, replacing me entirely. New wife, new baby, my money, my home. I should have been crying. Part of me wanted to, but mostly I felt cold. Clear. The fog that had been in my head for 6 months was completely gone, and in its place was something sharp. What's the plan? I asked Elizabeth on the phone. We go to the hearing. Dr. Carr will be there to testify you're mentally sound. We present the evidence, hope the judge doesn't throw it out. He's bribed, though. Then we're counting on him being more afraid of prison than Rick's money. It wasn't a great plan, but it was the only one we had. Morning came too fast. Rick brought me breakfast, toast, eggs, orange juice, and my medication. Big day today, honey, he said. After the hearing, we'll get you into a nice facility, somewhere safe. You'll be so much happier. He watched me take the pills. Watched me swallow. I saw the satisfaction in his eyes. What he didn't see was me tucking them between my teeth and gums, or spitting them into my napkin when I wiped my mouth. Thank you for taking care of me, I said. Soft, compliant. He kissed my forehead. Always, baby. I promised in sickness and in health, remember? The lie was so easy for him. So natural. My phone buzzed. A text from Harper. Dr. Carr's coming. Please finally believe us. They're reviewing the evidence. But you need to be clear-headed to testify. Can you fake it one more time? One more performance. One more day of playing the victim while the trap closed around him instead of me. At the courthouse, Rick was confident, relaxed. He held my hand like we were a team. Judge Atticus presided. He had that self-important look of someone who'd never been questioned. Rick's witnesses testified first. Dr. Tony described my deteriorating condition with fake concern, showed my test results, all fabricated. Rick's friend testified she'd witnessed my erratic behavior at a party I didn't remember attending because I'd been drugged. Then Rick took the stand. He cried, actually cried, talking about how hard it's been watching me fade away, how much he loves me, how he just wants what's best for me. He showed photos, me looking confused, disheveled, lost, all carefully captured during my drugged states, all perfectly staged. I love my wife, he said, voice breaking. I love her so much. I can't watch her hurt herself anymore. This is the hardest decision of my life. The judge nodded sympathetically. I could see it. The ruling forming. Incompetent. Institutionalized. Rick gets everything. Harper squeezed my hand. Any second now. Could we really outsmart him? Could we prove the truth before the gavel came down? Because if we couldn't, I was about to lose everything for real. The courtroom doors burst open. 3 people walked in, Harper, a woman in a doctor's coat, and another in a sharp suit. Behind them, 2 police officers. Judge Atticus looked annoyed. This is a closed hearing? Your Honor, I'm Dr. Hermione Carr, a neurologist from Northwestern. The woman's voice was calm but firm. I examined Sarah Martinez this morning. I have urgent testimony regarding this case. And I'm Elizabeth Morrison, Mrs. Martinez's attorney, the suited woman added. We have evidence of fraud, Your Honor. Rick stood up, his face going pale. This is irregular. Sit down, Mr. Martinez, Judge Atticus said. But his voice wavered. He looked nervous now. Elizabeth pulled out a laptop. Your Honor, with your permission, I'd like to play some video footage. The first clip showed Rick in our kitchen. Date and timestamp. 3 days ago, 6:15 a.m. He pulled out a pill bottle, crushed tablets with the back of a spoon, and stirred the powder into a coffee cup. My coffee cup. The camera caught him perfectly as he muttered, Just 3 more days. The courtroom went dead silent. The next clip, Rick in his office on the phone. Holly, baby, she actually believes it. Thinks she has Alzheimer's. God, she's stupid. Holly's laugh came through the speakers. Tony did a great job with the fake diagnosis, worth every penny. Once we get the ruling, we'll have everything. The house, the money, all of it. Finally, we can start our real life together. I watched Rick's face go from pale to gray. He stood up. That's fake. Deep fake technology. She's mentally ill. She's fabricated this. Dr. Carr stood. I examined Mrs. Martinez this morning. Comprehensive neurological testing, brain scans, cognitive assessments. She held up a file. Sarah Martinez has 0 cognitive impairment. She's perfectly healthy. There's no evidence of any neurodegenerative disease whatsoever. That's impossible, Rick sputtered. Dr. Tony diagnosed her. Dr. Tony? Elizabeth cut in. You mean Tony Chen, the dentist? Who's standing right there? She pointed. Tony, who'd been trying to sneak toward the exit, froze. Mr. Chen isn't a neurologist, Elizabeth continued. He's a dentist who lost his license 3 years ago for insurance fraud. Would you like to explain your relationship with Mr. Martinez, Mr. Chen? Tony's face crumpled. He paid me $50,000 to fake diagnose her. I'm sorry, I needed the money, my debts. Shut up, Rick yelled. Shut up, you idiot. But Elizabeth wasn't done. More footage played, Rick and Holly in bed, laughing. 3 more days until the money's ours, Holly purred. Then you'll leave her? Already mentally gone, Rick said, kissing her, like she's not even there anymore. The video showed Holly's phone on the nightstand, a sonogram photo visible. Our baby, she cooed. Our fresh start. In the courtroom, Holly stood up from the gallery. Rick, you promised. You said we'd get married. Sit down, Rick hissed. You said the money was for us. Holly's voice rose. For our baby, you promised. I said, sit down, you crazy. He caught himself, but too late. Judge Atticus banged his gavel. Mr. Martinez, Your Honor, Elizabeth said coolly, there's one more thing. She pulled out bank records. $100,000 transferred from Richard Martinez to Judge Atticus 3 weeks ago. Would you like to explain that transaction, Your Honor? The judge's face went white. That's not... Federal agents are already reviewing your accounts, Elizabeth said, along with the text messages between you and Mr. Martinez discussing how to expedite this ruling. The FBI agents I hadn't noticed stepped forward from the back of the courtroom. Rick looked around wildly. his perfect plan crumbling in real time. He turned to me, and for the first time I saw genuine fear in his eyes. I stood up. My legs were steady. My mind was crystal clear. "You tried to bury me alive in my own mind," I said. My voice didn't shake. "You drugged me, isolated me, made me doubt every single thought I had. You watched me lose my job, my friends, my dignity. You held me while I cried about losing myself, knowing you were the one killing me. Sarah," he reached for me. I stepped back. "You made me believe I was disappearing, that my brain was eating itself. Do you know what that's like? Thinking you're losing your mind?" "I love you," he said desperately. "Everything I did was, you stole $4 million. You bribed a judge. You paid someone to fake diagnose me with Alzheimer's." My voice got stronger with each word. "You were going to lock me away and marry your pregnant girlfriend in my house, with my money." "She's lying." Rick turned to the courtroom. "She's sick. She's confused." "The cameras don't lie," Harper said, standing beside me. "The bank records don't lie. Your text messages don't lie." Rick's mask finally shattered completely. "You'll never prove anything. Who's going to believe a crazy woman?" "Everyone," I said softly, "because I'm not crazy. I never was. And now everyone knows it." The FBI agent stepped forward. "Richard Martinez, you're under arrest for fraud, attempted theft, conspiracy, and drugging without consent." Rick lunged at me. Actually lunged. His hands reached for my throat. He didn't make it 3 steps. The officers tackled him to the ground. He fought them, screaming, "She's mine! That money is mine. I earned it. I put up with her for 12 years." There it was. The truth he'd hidden under all those loving smiles. They dragged him out still screaming. Holly was crying in the corner, being read her rights. Judge Atticus sat frozen at his bench, his career ending in real time. Tony had already confessed everything to the FBI. Dr. Carr put her hand on my shoulder. "You're going to be okay. Physically, mentally, you're completely healthy. The drugs will leave your system in a few days." I nodded. I couldn't speak yet. It was too big, too overwhelming. Harper hugged me. "You did it, Mom. You won." But it didn't feel like winning. Not yet. It felt like surviving. That was a year ago. Rick got 15 years in federal prison. Holly got 5 as an accomplice. Judge Atticus was disbarred and got 7 years. Tony lost his license permanently and got 3 years. The divorce took 6 months. I got everything. The house, the money, full custody of Harper. Rick tried to fight it from prison. He lost. I went back to work. Not as a CFO, I started my own financial consulting firm, specializing in helping people protect themselves from financial abuse. 47 clients so far. 47 people who needed someone to believe them when they said something was wrong. Harper's in medical school now, neurology. She says if fake doctors can destroy lives, real ones should save them. We testified for something they're calling Sarah's Law, legislation that protects people from being declared incompetent without multiple independent evaluations. It passed in our state 3 months ago. I still have bad days. Days where I doubt myself, where I second-guess every decision. Rick got in my head, and some of that damage doesn't just disappear, but I have good days too. Days where I wake up clear-headed and grateful and strong. Last month, Rick wrote me from prison. He wanted to apologize, he said. Wanted to make amends. I didn't read past the first line. I burned the letter. Because here's what I learned. The person who tries to convince you you're crazy is usually the one committing the crime. When someone isolates you from everyone who loves you, when they're the only voice you hear telling you what's real, that's not love. That's a prison. And you don't owe your jailer anything. Not forgiveness, not a second chance, not a single moment of your time. I spent 6 months believing I was disappearing. Now I know. I was always here. I was always strong enough. I was always sane. He tried to erase me. Instead, he exposed himself. That's the funny thing about truth. You can drug it, hide it, bury it alive, but it always finds its way to the surface. And when it does, it burns everything down. So if you're reading this and something feels wrong, if someone's isolating you, making you doubt yourself, cutting you off from reality, trust that feeling. Your clarity is your weapon. Your instinct is your shield. They're trying to make you question yourself because they know if you trust yourself, you'll see them clearly. And once you see them, they've already lost. Hold on to yourself fiercely. Protect your mind like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. The door to your prison is only locked from the inside. You have the key. Use it.